Charlie Kirk isn't afraid to take on the woke mob, and he's got the receipts to prove it. From roasting their double standards to crushing their cancel culture nonsense, here are his top 10 greatest takedowns. Number 10. Charlie Kirk buries confused college kid in 10 feet of facts.
Let's talk about the border. Do you think Kamala Harris did a good job managing the border?
I think the Central America Forward program that contributed to like $5 billion of economic growth in South Central America was like really productive for slowing migrant.
Oh, we're starting off with a banger. Kamala Harris managing the border? That's like hiring a vegan to run a steakhouse. The border has become a revolving door, with people just strolling in, and Harris is out here acting like she solved world hunger with her so-called Central America Forward program. Spoiler alert, she hasn't.
Separating families.
We have brought in 5% of the population of Haiti.
I don't see the issue with that, though. Like,
You don't see the issue with
allowing immigrants into our country.
This kid's been drinking the woke Kool-Aid. The woke mob loves to scream about compassion. But let's get real. This isn't about helping people. It's about letting lawlessness run wild. We're not against immigration. We're against unchecked chaos. But yeah, go on and tell us how America's foundation is breaking our own laws.
Yes, America is the best country. Therefore, its citizens should come first, not foreigners.
So
we have an obligation to our own people.
So the pathway to citizenship should become easier. Then.
No, we should deport them all back to their homeland.
We should deport them all back to their homeland.
This is their playbook. Help everyone else first and forget about the people actually living here. It's not compassion. It's a national suicide pact. Charity starts at home, folks.
Because outside the propaganda, they're walking the streets like in Springfield, Ohio, and they see Haitians like taking ducks and eating cats. Like, you cannot continue to have a country if you import an unfamiliar third world this quickly.
Charlie's on fire with this one. The woke mob dreams of an America without borders. But if you import the third world at this rate, you're turning America into the third world. And somehow, that's progress to these people? Number 9. Charlie Kirk shuts down girl making excuses for criminals.
But don't you think that like there's a reason that a lot of the black community doesn't have a father, and it's because of systemic racism. It's because like black men are more likely to be in prison.
Oh boy, here we go again. Another woke college student trying to make excuses for crime by blaming systemic racism. And Charlie's ready for it. Why do people go to prison? Simple question, but when the answer is poverty and racism, you know we're diving straight into woke territory.
Yeah, but so wait. So wait.
Why do they
So wait, if you're
commit crimes?
So in poverty, we should give excuses for committing crime?
Yes, because if they have no
like murder?
I did not say murder. I said like.
Wait, so being in poverty gives you a free pass to commit crimes now? This is woke logic 101. Everyone's a victim, and no one's responsible for their actions. If you're struggling, according to them, theft is suddenly justified. Let's not even get started on personal accountability.
I think most crimes are crimes of necessity in the black community.
I'm not saying most.
So like gangbanging is like a crime of necessity?
That I literally never said that. I'm saying,
but you're making an argument of crimes of necessity. Like they're so hungry they can't handle it.
The woke mob loves this narrative, but Charlie drops the hammer. We have food stamps, we have welfare, we have subsidized housing. So what's their excuse now? If anything, woke policies are making sure no one actually faces consequences anymore.
What can you as a white American do that the black American cannot do?
Now we're talking about real systemic racism, laws, and Charlie's got this girl stumped. She tries to dance around it with feels, but can't name a single law that white people can break and black people can't. Why? Because the whole argument crumbles when you actually ask for facts, not woke feelings.
Here's right.
Okay, let's go back to fathers.
So something happened to black America since 1965. So in 1965,
you mean the war on drugs?
Right. Well, so if that's your contention, that's fine. So in order to go to jail for the war on drugs, you have to be dealing drugs, right? Or you have to be caught with drugs. So if you don't
which is one of like the main jobs that you can have in a like poverty-stricken, like if there's no jobs.
Here's where Charlie really shuts it down. War on drugs? Sure, that's an excuse to some. But the reality is, nobody's forcing you to deal drugs. The woke mob acts like every criminal is some victim of circumstance. Sorry, but last time I checked, dealing drugs isn't a job.
No, what an insult to poor immigrants that came to this country that didn't commit crimes and worked 2 or 3 jobs and worked themselves out of poverty and didn't decide to go deal coke.
Absolute savage takedown. Charlie doesn't mince words. Number 8. What is a woman?
What is a woman?
I think a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition.
Yeah, that's not a definition. That's like saying a tree is something that identifies as a tree. Pure nonsense. Charlie is asking for a real answer, and the mental gymnastics begin.
Definitions.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
So, if Charlie decides to identify as a woman right now, does that magically make him one? This is the insanity of woke ideology. Reality becomes whatever you feel at the moment. It's like playing dress up, but with identity.
Right? So if
But
that
you have
happened
to
right
tell
now,
me
I'd be a
what that
woman.
thing
So
is.
once
Once a person makes the decision to identify as a woman, they're a woman. Oh, sure, because life-changing biology and facts can be erased with a quick thought, right? This is what the woke mob believes, that identity is a feeling, not a reality.
What is a woman?
that's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me what.
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
Charlie's trying to get a straight answer, but it's like talking to a brick wall.
Circular reasoning. You have to give me a actual definition.
It's called circular reasoning, Charlie points out, and that's exactly what this entire debate is. The woke mob keeps going in circles, trying to avoid the simple truth that biology and reality don't change just because you identify differently.
No, you said that a woman is something that thinks they're a woman.
The student keeps insisting they've given a definition, but what they're really doing is dodging reality. If you ask a woke person for clarity, you'll be stuck in a loop of confusion and contradiction. Number 7. America is not a nation of immigrants.
You cannot bring people into the country that don't share your values and still be a country.
Charlie starts off with a mic drop moment, and he's right. When the woke mob keeps pushing for open borders, what they're really doing is diluting the very fabric that holds this country together.
How do you think this country was? This country was made by people coming from different places.
Here's where things get interesting. The argument that this country was made by people coming from different places sounds good on the surface, but Charlie is about to flip it upside down. The woke mob loves to cling to this line without understanding the difference between settlers and immigrants.
That question before? It's okay, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but there's a huge difference. A settler does what? Starts something new. An immigrant comes to something already built. Which one started America?
Settlers did.
So we're not a nation of immigrants, we're a nation of settlers.
Charlie explains it perfectly. A settler starts something new, while an immigrant comes to something already built. And who started America? Settlers. Number 6. Charlie Kirk School's OF Girls on Why Marriage is Important.
If there were less abortions in America, would that be a good thing?
Yes.
Of course, the question is how we
Probably.
get there.
The woke crowd is all about choices. But here's the thing. They don't want to talk about the consequences of those choices. Charlie is already schooling them with the obvious answer. Yes, fewer abortions would be good.
That's a good question. How
The
do we
problem-
get there?
Birth control.
Education.
So
Yes.
the more birth control that has
And
happened,
education, and
the more birth
education.
control we've had in the West, the more abortions we have because people have more.
They push birth control as the solution, but more solutions are leading to even bigger problems. And nobody's talking about self-control anymore. Guess that's too old-fashioned for the woke mob.
Would be implemented like self-control.
How about this radical idea? What if people waited to have sex when they got married?
That will.
Charlie drops the real bomb. Cue the eye rolls and disbelief.
That's amazing for you, but you are not
What
everybody.
about
But
people who
hold
get
on.
married and
I know it's not easy, but
compatible?
but that's a good question. Let me get to this though. Do those of you that haven't, I'm guessing you all haven't waited till you got married. Do you wish you did?
No.
No. Do any of you wish you?
Charlie isn't letting them off easy. He asks the girls point blank. In a culture that glorifies instant gratification, The idea of self-respect and waiting for something meaningful seems foreign. These girls are so entrenched in the woke hookup culture, they can't even imagine an alternative.
That's not interesting to you?
No.
Oh, that's cool. But
Wait, you guys don't
that's an
regret
ideal world.
any of the men you've slept with?
I maybe
I don't believe in
regret a man that I've
soulmates.
slept with.
You don't
but
believe in soulmates?
Not
How
necessarily.
about best friend?
You don't believe in soulmates? Now we're getting to the heart of it. The woke mindset has made people so jaded that they don't even believe in the idea of a lifelong connection anymore. No soulmates, no best friends, just disposable relationships and a new partner every few months.
The sex is better when
You
you're
need so
in
many
love.
people throughout your
So
lifetime.
jaded.
At least we're consistent.
No, you're very
You
consistent.
can have multiple soulmates.
You multiple soulmates.
Yeah.
I was saying, like, with as big as the world is, you're not going to necessarily find exactly one person.
Because you're going to grow
Yeah,
throughout your life.
Yeah.
We're
Because, I mean,
changing
like-
all the time.
And sometimes
Your
people don't grow
soulmate
with you.
is-
Multiple soulmates? Here's the woke logic. Since the world is so big, there's no way you can only have one perfect match. This is just an excuse to avoid commitment and chase after whatever feels good in the moment. It's not about finding one person. It's about keeping your options open forever.
What is the purpose of marriage?
I don't agree. I wouldn't do a legal marriage.
To come into a union.
Is marriage even a thing that we should care about?
If you got divorced, I don't wish that, but if
God
you got
forbid,
divorced
yeah.
in 10 years, what do you think of that?
I don't think that will happen. It's
Yeah,
not
but
even-
Charlie puts them on the spot. Marriage isn't even sacred anymore to these girls. It's just another temporary arrangement you can get out of when it's convenient. No wonder hookup culture is so rampant. It's the inevitable result of devaluing marriage. Number 5. Lefty throws tantrum at Charlie Kirk right on cue.
Asshole. Would you like to have a conversation?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like you. I think you spread hate. I think you spread bigotry. I think you piss a lot of people.
We've got a lefty losing it, dropping F-bombs and hurling accusations with zero evidence.
I don't think you really want to debate because you're just here to piss people off and energize your crowd of racists.
Typical lefty tactic. Call people names but never back it up with anything.
Thing?
I'm Hispanic
and I support Charlie. Can you name
Does that mean anything?
Can you name a second thing I've ever said that's racist?
I think you're just trying to play a game, and I think this is obviously going to be used.
What
in
have I
your
ever
favor,
said
but
that's
I just want to
hateful?
hate you. You're awful. Get off my campus.
When have I ever said anything that's hateful?
Even when a Hispanic supporter of Charlie speaks up, it's ignored. Because when the facts don't fit the left's narrative, they'll pretend it doesn't exist. It's like a tantrum on repeat.
Have a nice day. He can't say anything I've ever said that's racist, because I've never said anything that's racist. That is the American left in one picture, everybody. Lots of...
And here it is, the walk-off. When lefties can't come up with an argument, they just storm off. Lots of rage, no wisdom. That's the American left in one picture, folks. Yell, insult, then retreat.
Not name a single incident of Charlie actually doing that. He ignores the man of colour who says, I support Charlie, and then ends the tantrum by walking off in a huff. And it's on brand for lefties losing it. He just ticks every box there for us, Sophie.
Here's the kicker. This guy accused Charlie of spreading hate and racism, but couldn't name a single example. Number 4. Charlie Kirk, tears apart, Trump hater.
College campuses used to be the anti-war home of America. And now the Democrat Party is having former directors of the CIA speak at the DNC just minutes before Kamala Harris, Leon Panetta, and then Dick Cheney coming out saying Donald Trump is the most dangerous person in the history of the country. That's an exact quote, by the way. Okay. I think we'd agree.
Charlie sets the stage. College campuses used to be anti-war homes. Now they're cheering on former CIA directors at the DNC. The woke crowd has done a complete 180, aligning themselves with the very institutions they once protested. And, of course, now you have Dick Cheney claiming Trump is the most dangerous person in American history. Let's see how that holds up.
History of the country. That's an exact quote, by the way. Okay. I think we'd agree that's a little bit...
No, actually, I do agree with that quote.
Oh, you think
yeah.
Donald Trump's the most dangerous person in the history of the country?
This guy actually agrees with that ridiculous statement. But Charlie's about to show him how wild that claim really is. And here we go.
And he tried to go across and completely erase our democratic process. They did multiple investigations. So it was a very Trump-oriented Supreme Court at the time.
The Trump hater brings up the Supreme Court, but Charlie quickly shuts him down. Even with a Trump-oriented court, there was no overturning the election results. But sure, let's keep pretending Trump was some evil mastermind with no respect for democracy.
So you think Trump is a greater threat to the country than like Timothy McVeigh, who did the Oklahoma City bombing?
No. I mean,
okay. I just want to make sure that you're not.
Let me rephrase.
I'm trying to give you a chance
to rephrase that. To rephrase that, I'm gonna say politician, person in power.
Oh, so now we're narrowing the scope to make this wild claim more palatable. But Charlie's not done yet. He's about to name drop some heavy hitters who make Trump look like a choir boy.
So more so than Jefferson Davis, who led the Confederacy?
Modern politicians in power.
Okay, all right.
Charlie's keeping it real, but apparently the Trump hater is only talking about modern politicians. He keeps shrinking the goalposts.
You have someone who you consider to be a bad leader, but the country is in a better place, or someone who pretends to be a good leader and the country is going to hell. Which decision would you make?
The guy picks the good leader, but we all know what that means. A so-called good leader who's leading us straight to disaster. Number 3, Americans should always come first.
Let's talk about the border. We have brought in 5% of the population of Haiti.
I don't see the issue with that, though.
Charlie wastes no time diving into the harsh reality of illegal immigration. He talks about how we've allowed 5% of Haiti's population to flood into the U.S. The woke mob doesn't see an issue, but when entire communities are being overrun, it's clear that the open borders dream is turning into a nightmare.
So the pathway to citizenship should become easier.
No, we should deport them all back to their homeland.
We should deport them all back to their
all
homeland.
back to their homeland.
All of the immigrants.
The woke crowd loves to scream about compassion, but when Charlie drops the hard truth that we should deport illegal immigrants back to their homeland, they can't handle it. It's simple. Our government exists to protect its own citizens first. That's the social contract. And when it's broken, chaos follows.
In Springfield, Ohio, in one town, English as a second language speakers in one high school went from 250 to 1,500 kids in 2 years. These communities are being overrun. Go down to Aurora, Colorado, right down the street here. Entire apartment complexes are now being run by Venezuelan gangs.
Charlie pulls no punches when he brings up Springfield, Ohio, where English as a second language speakers went from 250 to 1,500 kids in just 2 years. This isn't just a blip on the radar. Our communities are being overwhelmed, and yet the left continues to turn a blind eye.
Belief that our founding fathers had, which is if your government does not fulfill its obligation to its own people first, its government is not legitimate.
Charlie hits hard with the foundational idea that our government must put Americans first. Otherwise, it's no longer legitimate. The fact that our government is now providing more for illegal immigrants than its own citizens is the ultimate betrayal. Free cell phones and luxury hotels for foreigners. Meanwhile, American veterans are homeless. This is upside-down logic.
Free phones, airplane rides, public transit. That sounds great for Americans.
No, it sounds terrible, actually.
For Americans?
Yes, government should not be giving free phones to anybody, okay?
You said that.
The left pretends like they're helping people, but Charlie drops a truth bomb. Government handouts are no solution. Giving free phones and public transit might sound great, but what it really does is push Americans down the priority list. The left keeps trying to justify this insanity, but Charlie cuts through their excuses with hard facts.
For the entire world, over 118 countries have entered the southern border. That we know of, at least 99 people on the terrorist watch list have come across the southern border. We're talking about people from Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, from Iran, people from Pakistan.
Charlie doesn't hold back. He points out that over 118 countries have crossed the southern border, including people from terrorist hotspots like Iran and Pakistan. This isn't just an immigration issue, it's a national security threat. But the woke mob stays focused on their fantasy of an open border utopia.
Anyone that's here illegally should be deported back to their country of homeland. By the way, it's a moral position.
So H-1B visas that generate and stimulate the economy, kick those out.
Well, that's interesting. H-1B. Who here studying computer? Anything? Anybody? Computer engineering? You guys have to compete against a foreigner for a job. That's wrong. American. Well, I actually care about the country more than the free market.
So colleges should better prepare students and better utilize government resources.
Well, college is a scam, but yes, we did that earlier.
Charlie brings up El Salvador, once the murder capital of the world, now safer than many American cities. And why? Because they locked up 40,000 criminals and took real action. Meanwhile, cities like Denver and LA are becoming no-go zones for Americans. And yet, the left wants more immigration? It's madness.
They shouldn't go to college.
Well, actually, you don't need to go to college for computer science.
You don't need to go to college for computer science?
You could do a coding class in a couple months.
Number 2, Charlie Kirk scolds college students' entitled mentality.
How can you come here and tell me there's no such thing as white privilege?
There's no such thing as white privilege.
Here we go. Who are they going to ask for their papers?
The debate kicks off with a student pushing the worn-out narrative of white privilege. This is the go-to for the woke crowd, using it to explain away every inconvenience. But Charlie shuts it down.
Who are they going to ask for their papers, me or you?
I get asked for papers all the time
No,
when I
you
get
don't.
pulled over. Yeah, I can show you my pile of driver's
Do you get asked to
tickets.
prove that you're a citizen of the United States?
Do you really think that you're being pulled over just because of the color of your skin?
Dude, it's happened many times.
Hey, this is the problem. I'm just going to give you a piece of advice. You're looking at the world as a victim.
This is the woke playbook. Convince people they're being crushed by systemic racism and the evil white man. But in reality, it's just a disempowering lie that keeps people stuck in the cycle of blaming others instead of taking responsibility.
A non-citizen does not have their papers. They should be deported from this country if they do not have their papers.
Charlie finishes strong. If you're a non-citizen without papers, you should be deported. It's straightforward and rooted in common sense. The left loves to twist this into some kind of moral crime, but enforcing immigration laws is just basic governance. Number 1. BLM clad, libs can't comprehend how bad choices lead to bad outcomes.
I'm sorry.
What was life expectancy in 1900?
Much lower. So it's
46
increased
years.
exponentially over time. It has
That
for
was
every
my
group.
point.
But then at 2000, there was a change. In 2000, there was a change.
Right.
And
it
for
was
men,
a change
they started
because
to
it was
decrease.
a byproduct of surpluses and having food everywhere at all times.
It has
and
nothing to
people
do with
making bad
obesity.
choices.
This is self-induced harm that is causing
Again,
this.
so let's walk through this. What is the number 1 cause of death for middle-aged white men?
That's not what I'm talking about. So I have another thing
Heart
to say.
disease. What is the number 1 precursor for heart disease?
So
the student wearing the shirt can't back up the movement's claims with any real data, and Charlie's ready to call it out. The entire BLM narrative is built on identity politics, not facts. It's a divisive force in America, not the solution it pretends to be.
We both made whatever point we wanted to make. So can I ask
I'm
a
still
can I ask
trying
a
to figure
second
out
question?
yours, but yes, please
That's
do.
okay. So my second question
And
is
I would like to get to your shirt at some point too, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's a Black Lives Matter shirt. I feel like we are unable to have any sort of actual conversation, which is not what I came here thinking.
You are entitled to your own opinion. You are not entitled to your own facts.
These are not my own facts. I could provide studies and citations for everything I've said
then
tonight.
please
I haven't
do.
heard you do that.
I mean, everything, you can easily...
When the student shifts to defending socialism, Charlie doesn't hesitate to remind them of the millions who died under socialist regimes. It's not some theoretical discussion. Everywhere socialism has been tried, it's led to disaster. Yet, the woke crowd continues to romanticize it.
You think socialism is? Because I think you're misunderstood.
Socialism is what I see, which is the implementation of totalitarian control on the means of the best interest of people under the guise of the failed doctrine of Marx and Engels.
That's wrong.
Just because you say it wrong doesn't make you right.
Just because you say I'm wrong doesn't make you right.
No, it actually does, because everywhere socialism has been implemented, you've seen catastrophic human deaths.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know what socialism is.
Well, what makes you a subject matter expert on the 100 million people that have died?
Are you a subject matter expert on that?
I actually am.
Are you?
The student claims to be an anarchist who supports socialism. Contradictory much? Charlie points out that even under the current capitalist system, people have the freedom to live by their anarchist principles. So why push for a failed system like socialism?
Means of production, yes,
no, that's
they
not
own
a
the
country
company.
based on socialist principles.
No, you're right. It's actually a free
That's a
market country
company.
that allows your worldview to be implemented successfully and peacefully. So Publix, the largest grocery store in America, is employee-owned.
That's not socialism.
But you just said it's workers owning the means of production.
Yeah, in an entire
So you want to
country.
force that upon someone else,
No,
correct?
I don't.
So what if
I'm
I want...
actually an anarchist. Not
So let's talk about this.
but
Let's talk about it, though. So, oh, it's okay. It's okay. She came here tonight. It's fine. So
Capitalism is antagonistic to anarchism, by the way.
Is anti what?
Is antagonistic. Can you hear me? Antagonistic to anarchism.
So you're an anarchist that is saying good things about socialism.
Yeah, because I believe in the communal ability of people to work together to come to the best.
So you have a lot of problems with the current system, right?
Basing an entire economic system on capital, on wealth, is not the best for each person in the world.
So you would want to live in a communal